Cheryl. Go ahead.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of Body Electrician Live. It's our summer show, and we're going to be talking about summertime things and about food as well. And we have with us tonight Dr. Wil Spencer. Hi, Will.
Hello.
And we also have my very special co-host, or maybe I'm the co-host, or we're co-hosts together, Nancy Piscatello in New York.
Hey, Cheryl. How are you? Hi, Will.
Hello.
I brought my sunglasses for this event because it is so bright in here. Just thought I'd
Yeah.
add that
And
in.
I was telling Nancy earlier that I used to wear sunglasses all the time. I was like a vampire almost. It was like, oh, sun, you know. But since I started working with Will, that's one thing I noticed doing the AOT and some stuff. It's like I was okay. I hardly ever wear them anymore. And I might get a little, glary, but still, I don't think about it most of the time. I don't seem to need them as much.
What do you think that is, Will? What's going on?
Well, the more infections you have, or the more out of balance you are, the more sensitive to the sun you are. One thing. The other thing is the sun nowadays is definitely a different frequency than we've had in times past.
Yeah, we were just talking about that before the show, right? Because we were all saying how we're getting a little darker from being out very small amounts of time in the sun. And I don't get real dark, but this year I'm blotchy and dark. So it's like, what's happening? So your idea on that is what, Will? Like, why is that happening? What do you think?
Well, the sun is being blocked by all the crap in the air. I mean, you don't even have to get into conspiracy theories or anything. You just look up in the air, and there's a lot of crap in the air.
Oh yeah.
And it's altering the frequencies of the sun that we're receiving.
Wow. That's an interesting thought. So of course it comes down to what are they spraying? We don't know about that, but there are shows. There's a whole movie on that, right? What in the world are they spraying, I think it's called?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of theories out there.
Yeah, the stuff in the air is definitely not natural.
Yeah. When I was a kid, I remember going to the beach and most everybody was slathering themselves with suntan oil, just basting out in the sun. But these days, everyone's got sunscreen. So I know, people like Nancy, she's a lot paler and stuff, and most people wear sunscreen. So, they're afraid of sun cancer. And I even saw this quote today, and it said, when the skin is exposed to the sun's harmful rays, it can cause burns and skin irritation. This causes increased thickness of the skin and changes the immune functions. When the immune functions are compromised, the result may be injury, optical aging, skin cancer, and other diseases. Now, I know that's what most people have in their heads when they go out in the sun these days. It's like, the sun is dangerous. But is it that dangerous, and what can we do about it?
Were you asking me that?
I am asking you, yes. Listen, Nancy knows.
I don't know. I had a very different view. For a while there, I thought everybody in the alternative field was saying the sun is great for you. Go out in the sun. In fact, a certain Dr. McCullough out there is selling these machines that you go lay in and get sun from, and it only has certain UVs in it and such. So it was all about get sun. You need sun, and yet I talked to you about that one time, Will, and you had a very different opinion about it. So maybe you could share that with us.
Well, if your body's running properly, working properly, you're eating the animal products that you're supposed to be eating from animals that were raised the way they were, more naturally, eating the diets that they're supposed to eat rather than industrial waste, then the vitamin D can be created properly. I mean, this isn't new information. This is information that's literally over 100 years old. But yet the natural health industry is telling you all this gobbledygook. Our ancestors didn't have problems with the sun.
No, I know. That's what's
My dad is a good example of somebody that was loaded with pathogens, ate a very high carbohydrate and sugar diet, did not care about anything. He just ate whatever, and mostly the standard American diet, and a lot of extra sugars and donuts and coffee in excess. And as a kid, I often ask him, how come your left arm it looked like ground meat, and his right arm did not? He says, I don't know. I always got my arm sticking out the window because he drove tractor, he drove truck, he was always driving something, piece of equipment, and his left arm most of the time was sticking out, just out because they didn't have a lot of air conditioners like they do nowadays. So his sun was on his arm a lot.
Right.
And I really got to thinking, over the years, and they say the sun creates cancer. You know that whole theory? Stay out of the sun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And my dad is one that he's riddled with skin cancer. Well, he's got it all over the place. So when I told him, oh, you need sun, his reaction was, if I had stayed out of the sun, I wouldn't have all the sun cancer I have.
Well, that's the illusion. Okay. That's what academia and medical industry want you to believe, to keep you out of the sun. But the sun is actually trying to help your body detox. The sun actually draws the stuff from deep down with the junk that's in there, the toxins and the other junk, up to the surface to be flushed away with the lymph system. Well, if your lymph system doesn't work properly, your blood is stagnant, your system is overloaded with toxins, your liver, your kidneys aren't working properly, then everything gets backed up. So then it's going to come right out through the surface of the skin. Because I noticed my dad, like in the wintertime, he would have his arm, long sleeve shirts on usually, and the sun wasn't directly on his arm.
Okay.
And in the summertime, it was the other way. The sun was on. And there was a distinct difference between having his sun exposed to his arm and not. I just noticed that. And then doing a lot of research, that's what the sun does. The sun pulls and helps our body to detox.
Okay.
That's the whole thing is, so your dad is overloaded with crap.
Right.
Whether it be infections, whether it would be propylene glycol, the sunscreen, like we were talking earlier before the show, all the crap that people put on their skin, the petroleum products.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people, my dad used to put like that petroleum jelly on his skin. Well, that's basically axle grease.
Right.
And so then that soaks into the body, and then the sun brings that out. All these different moisturizers. There is like virtually no commercially available moisturizers for your skin that are decent for you. They all have some kind of a toxic load of some kind.
Yeah, even the health food ones is what you're saying. Well, there's some of those that
they're the worst because they hide stuff. The natural health industry is probably way worse from what I'm seeing, is because they're like intentionally hiding things within the loose labeling laws.
Okay.
Like, for instance, your one that you just read before the show had propylene glycol in it.
Yeah, and that is one of the Nature's Gate. Kids, yeah. Nature's Gate. There you go.
Okay, so there's nature. They're prostituting the word nature. What's propylene glycol used for? First of all, what is propylene glycol? Well, propylene glycol is a component in antifreeze that you put in the radiator of your car. All right, it's also used in cutting fluids in the machine shop. It's also used in products like that. They're putting propylene glycol now in ketchup, in toothpaste, in all kinds of different food and personal care products. And what it does in these products, it keeps the ingredients from separating when they're in storage. or in shipment. It's I think the word is
Oh,
emulsifier.
yeah, exactly.
It keeps the ingredients from separating, and and on a molecular scale, the size of the molecule is so small that it goes directly into your skin. I forget what level of carcinogen it is, but it's very carcinogenic.
Oh boy.
It's one of the main ingredients in some of these tumors when they get biopsied. The body is trying to isolate it to figure out what to do with it, because it's highly toxic. It doesn't break down very easy inside the body.
Right.
I mean, that's just one ingredient. Then you can go to like titanium dioxide or titanium, I forget the other word.
Yeah, well, this is Dr. McCullough's, and it doesn't seem that bad, but there is titanium dioxide and zinc oxide, and those are the first two ingredients. And you were saying that's like a heavy metal?
They're heavy metals, first of all. Second of all is, like with zinc, that particular zinc you're talking about, that shreds your protein. That's like, I forget the word they call that. It's like a, it's very caustic. It will break down protein extremely fast.
So by entering the skin, you're saying it's breaking down proteins within our system?
Yeah, like for instance, it erodes the myelin sheath on the nerve cell very quickly. It's actually a neurotoxin. It's a heavy metal on top of it. It does nothing good in our body. It's not a viable zinc, because what's the second word? It's a zinc what? What's the second word?
Oxide.
Oxide, oxidated zinc. Okay. It's not a colloid, which is that's a version of mineral that our body is able to assimilate and use rather rapidly. That it's just not good. And here's a guy that's running $1 million a month business selling people supposedly natural stuff that's going to harm you. I mean, we see zinc oxide, we see titanium and all the different titaniums showing up a lot on scans. I mean, you guys can just look at the scans that you guys do on other people and just look. This stuff is not good.
Right.
What's wrong with just putting some essential oils on your skin, like lemon, lime, or some of the citrus fruit oils is extremely okay for your skin. I mean, I've had people call us and say, I just use non-salted butter. It's 100% amino acids, and it keeps me from burning.
How about that EMLC then?
Exactly. That's exactly where I was going. We use the amino acids protects us. Heavy metals don't protect us.
I never heard that. So you're saying just a little butter or EMLC?
I've used non-salted butter,
and that will help. That'll cut down on, because that was my next question. Sometimes you're hanging out at the beach. Other than covering up with heavy clothing or something, like, what's your alternative? But there you go.
I use we have an essential oil called Body Splash that we use. It's I forget. It's lemon, lime, orange, and I think almond.
Almond oil, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's 4 oils in there, and then I mix that with EMLC, which is 100% amino acids, and just put that on my skin, moisturizing and protects, and you get nice and brown. You don't get. I usually burn once. I have fairly light skin, but once I get in the sun and get that first initial phase, then I pretty much just get brown.
Right.
I mean, you can see the difference. It's on the camera is not very good with the lighting, but.
All right, Will, so you were talking about before how the sun is pulling out toxins out of the skin. So what's the idea behind, then why is it just pulling out toxins for some people, and yet other people are developing cancers? Or something that
you said.
Yeah, I know. There we go into the cancer.
Yeah, you said that money word again. Cancer. Is it really cancer? What is real cancer? If it's an AMA cancer, well, they called it on my dad skin cancer. All right. Then your dad, you said it was skin cancer.
Yes, that's what they told him.
Okay, so what is that, though, you see? It's damaged cells of some kind, whether it's from the infections or the garbage that's inside of us. The sun draws the toxins to the lymph system to be eliminated. It's just natural. That's the way the chelation system works. The detox works. Most people, systems don't work, though. Most people's systems are so backed up, congested, stagnant, not working for whatever reason that. So let's just look at plain plumbing in your house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what happens at the basement wall if that pipe doesn't flow outside, whether you live in town or not? What happens if that pipe can't empty out into the sewer or into your septic or the city sewer? What happens? It backs all the way up in the house and all the way to the third level if it gets that bad.
Right.
Well, it's the same thing going on in people's bodies right now, especially nowadays with the sun frequency alteration, and you're not getting your vitamins, your precursors for vitamin A, D, E, your Bs. All those precursors are only found in animal products. They're only soluble in animal products. They may be in plants, but our digestive system does not allow for the digestion or the utilization of them from plant material. It's impossible. The only animals that do that are the grass eaters,
Right.
the real herbivores. People are not herbivores. And so, like this time of year, we see so many vegetarian vegans that are complaining of this
Wow, good point.
because they're not getting the precursors for the body to make the vitamins and the hormones the way they're supposed to.
Yeah. Well, that's the advice that's given out freely by every doctor, every hospital, every professional out there.
Well, you got to look at, though, you say professional. Okay, so they hold a license that's backed by the AMA. Even the ones that don't. I got a guy, this dude on the Facebook page that he's got these brown eyes. Literally, I mean, they're like his whole socket, from his eyelid, all this whole socket area up into his eyebrows, all the way. It looks like raccoon eyes. They're like brown eyes. Like somebody had put, what's that word they call eyeliner or whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like completely circle around his eye, all the way out past like this big. Okay, they're brown. And I made a comment to him earlier today. I said, you need to consider changing your diet. I said, you are hormonally and minerally imbalanced, because otherwise people don't have that happening to them if they're in balance, or if things are going, your body's operating relatively good.
Right.
And this dude's a complete vegetarian, vegan.
Wow.
And I mean, I'm looking at him, looking at a couple of other people, and they bash me all the time. I'm like, I'm concerned for your health. You need to consider that what you're doing here, you're promoting something that we see in the clinic all the time is damaging people. You need to consider this. So he was, just before the show, he made some wisecracks back to me. And I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, but, you got to consider those brown eyes. That's a sign of malnutrition. That's a sign that you're hormonally imbalanced. I mean, there's so much literature that's written about that's hundreds of years old. Because, let's see, 100 years ago, early part of the 1900s, Weston Price traveled around the world categorizing and taking into account indigenous people versus civilized people, their body features.
Right.
Okay, so anyone can go look that information up. Okay, so it's plain as day. This is not anything that I'm trying to be combative about. I'm talking from sheer experience. People are choosing dietary suggestions based on emotions and not biologically historical facts.
Right.
And that concerns me. And then they want to be militant about it.
Right.
That bothers me, because on top of the hormonal challenge that takes place with eating a diet very low in animal products or available amino acids and vitamin precursors, it leads to hormonal imbalance. So, you know, and that affects the sun, whether the sun is beating on you or not. You know, I heard a couple of different quotes regarding the Northern Europeans as well as the Northern North American Inuits that as little as, if your body's operating properly, as little as 5 minutes of sunlight a day on your cheek, if you're eating properly, is enough, will be enough vitamin D for a day or two. 5 minutes in one 24-hour period on your cheeks.
Wow.
It will create enough vitamin D and other hormonal and vitamin things that your body needs for a day or two. If your body is functioning properly and if you're eating a diet that's high in the precursors. So, and we got people now that lay in the sun for hours every single day. And they're still not getting what they need. That's a problem.
I know that. Actually, Will, I have a girlfriend who, right after the summer, and this is a girl who's very dark-skinned, Greek, and she's from an island off of Greece that are very, very dark. And when she goes in the sun, she gets super dark. She went for a vitamin D test after the summer, after she was the darkest that she had been. She was low in vitamin D. I mean, doesn't that say it all? Huh.
Well, first I got to ask, you're going into the medical community or a medically trained natural community for a test. What are they testing? Okay, I don't trust none of them.
Good.
Okay, because if you're licensed by the AMA or if you're in the natural health world, which uses you know, AMA and pharmaceutical thinking, and they're same tests, it's the same test. They're using the same labs. Okay, what are they testing for? Okay, so that's the first question. You know, I don't trust any of those people. Those are the same people that say that you need chemotherapy. Those are the same people that are licensed to lie to you about cancer. Those are the same people that are telling you to eat things that are GMO'd. Or even if they're in the natural health community, the non-GMO stuff, they're still telling you to eat things that are going to damage you. So right. I'm suspicious first off, right there. Okay, maybe she is. Maybe she is low in vitamin D. You know, I don't know. I don't know the scenario. So, I mean, that's just the first thing I got to like interrupt and say, oh, wait a minute.
Right. How do you actually know she was low in vitamin D? All right. Let's say she was, though. See, she also loves junk food and, you know, all kinds of carbs and things like that. So could that be the cause if it were low?
Well, here's a little bit of a tidbit that I'm assimilating some information coming out of academia. I talked about on a show yesterday. The infections, the microorganisms, the parasites and pathogens that live in us will cause our hormonal imbalance just by having live infections going on right now, whether that's a Clostridium or a H. pylori or a Candida or Acidophilus. I saw, let's see, we did 6 scans day before yesterday, and I think 2 out of the 4 all had acidophilus infections. 2 out of the 4 had acidophilus infections. All right, so we're having imbalances, and when the microorganism populations are imbalanced, some of this literature that's being allowed out in the medical community now, they're saying it's pretty clear that infections will distort the hormonal balance. Well, vitamin D is a hormone. The precursors are eaten through animal products. They go through the stomach fermentation properly. If your stomach works, they move into the small intestine. The microbes then act upon them, and they're allowed into the body. And then they're not considered vitamin D until they are reactive with the sun at the skin level. then that is the actual vitamin D origin right there. At the skin level, it's a hormone. Well, if you got infections and your endocrine system is disrupted and your estrogen, your testosterone, your vitamin D, and all these other hormones are going to be out of balance just because you have these active infections. And most people are today, in today's world, have active infections of some kind.
Right.
So, you know, if she's eating all that junk food, your friend you were talking about yet, right? If she's eating all this junk food, well, healthy bodies don't crave that stuff. So you got to know that there's infections going on there.
Right.
I mean, a scan will probably tell you right off, but I think most people nowadays that know a little bit about this technology that we use, they're like, they don't want to know.
Exactly.
Yeah, because they live in such blame, shame, and guilt for whatever reasons from their family dynamics that if you tell them that they have live infections, they like don't know how to handle that. They're like, oh no, it's not me, I can't. You know, it's like, you live on planet Earth. You live in a NATO country, and you're going to have some infections. It's impossible to think that you wouldn't. It's actually quite naive to think that you wouldn't. With, let's see, 1940s, they started openly biological experiments on people in this country, as well as most NATO countries. That means they were spraying viruses, bacteria, and fungi on the people since the 1940s, and they're continuing to do it to this day. Okay? That
bacteria, you were saying, Will? Because your Skype froze up right when you were saying that. You're saying there was bacteria and fungi?
Viruses, bacteria, and fungi are being sprayed in our environment all over, almost all NATO countries, on the population. I mean, that's not anything new. That's released documents. That's government information released freely. Anybody can go look this up.
Right.
This isn't a conspiracy thing. This is just plain old knowledge. 1945, St. Louis sprayed. Minneapolis, Minnesota, 1945-46, openly sprayed viruses and bacteria on the entire metropolitan areas.
Yeah.
That's just two. They've done Seattle, Missoula, let's see, Phoenix, almost every metropolitan hub area in this country. Canada, United States, Mexico has been in the last, 75 years, sprayed at least once with some biological active agent. And that's on the military side. Then we can go to the agricultural side. We're all getting sprayed daily anyhow.
Of course.
Because even if you don't live in an agricultural area, your neighbor went to Home Depot to buy Roundup and glyphosate, and they're spraying it on their dandelions on their walk.
Yes.
And you got to get that, this stuff they're spraying is everywhere. You walk into the store of Home Depot or Lowe's, and what's right there? There's 4 pallets of Roundup sitting there.
Right.
And you're smelling it.
Mm-hmm.
My nose starts to run and plug up within minutes of walking in that store. That's like my body's response is like, just plug that nose.
Yeah.
And a little tidbit in that regard is, I was noticing formaldehyde showing up on people's scans. And I'm like, where is formaldehyde coming from?
That just recently?
I'm talking the last year and a half, really, the last 6 months more, but year and a half. So I start checking into things, and I find out that formaldehyde is the natural end product of the body trying to digest pesticides. So our body's trying to remediate the pesticides out of us in the natural metabolism process. The end product is formaldehyde. Mm-hmm. And the biggie of that is the glyphosate products. That's the Roundup. I think there's 4 different names for products that are very high in glyphosate. There's Roundup is the main one that everyone kind of knows. There's Roundup, Ripcord, and 2 other ones from different manufacturers, but they're all glyphosate products. And it seems to be glyphosate turns to formaldehyde in the body.
So we're our own chemical production plants. Is that what you're saying, basically?
I'm saying yes. The body trying to get the chemicals out in metabolism creates more chemicals. For instance, you've heard of Bt toxins.
Yes.
Which Bt stands for Bacillus thuringiensis, which is a genetically modified bacteria. They splice into plants to create their own pesticide and systemic pesticides inside of them. Well, that bacteria gets into us, and our body becomes a pesticide factory.
Wow. Where are you finding most of those Bt toxins? Since now I think we're going to kind of move on to food a little bit, Cheryl.
Sure. I did have a couple more questions. Well, actually, while we're at that, maybe I could ask, is there anything that in particular does come up in the summertime on scans that doesn't at other times of the year?
I haven't taken the time to like separate it out that far yet.
Okay, just nothing you really notice. Okay.
I can tell you the spring and the fall are usually more active on the pathogens. Summer and winter are a little more active on parasites overall. So that I have noticed. Really, there's a little bit more pesticides and pharmaceutical drugs showing up in the warmer months. But I haven't had time to go, dissect all of that down and chart it all out. There's just certain things like formaldehyde. Like, where's formaldehyde come from? That showing up like repeatedly over and over again is like, that's a concern to me, because people are scanning from all over the place, but yet why is everyone having formaldehyde, or the majority? But I haven't. Beyond that, I haven't been able to. Haven't taken the time to track it any more closely in different areas.
Okay, and another question, just summer related, since people are listening with maybe that in mind. There's a lot of bugs sometimes, and what can people do instead of using things like DEET? If they're going to be, going backpacking or something where you want to have something, but
well, there's a lot of there's the cedar side or cedar oil. Works pretty good for your ticks and crawling bugs. Mosquitoes react fairly decent to geranium. I have them in the camper. We were just up in Minnesota, which is mosquito central, and we used geranium. And there was a couple of other oils Dylan got. I don't remember the names.
Citronella, Will, because some of the oils you're mentioning is in this one.
I think citronella is one of them that seems pretty good as well. And like I say, I like the you can get essential oils like the geranium and the citronella. You can get there's other plant sap extracts that I know work. It's just I just use the oils. It's inexpensive, and I think I've used that product that you have, that particular one.
SOS it's called. I don't know even where I got it, but yeah, that's a natural bug away spray. It says DEET free, which is great, and it does mention some of the oils you were just talking about. That's one. There's another one here. I have California Baby, and that's another one that I think uses very similar. The bug sprays seem like they're better than the sunscreens. The sunscreens, you just can't find any that are. But I'm going to do what you just said. which is the butter. And
Well, the thing is, you're going to put metal on just about, or some toxic substance on your body, and our skin is porous. It's not a waterproof and chemical-proof membrane. It's a porous membrane. They actually have pores, you know, and things get soaked in. That's why we have all these nerve receptors on our skin, because we're constantly not only just getting data from our environment, we're picking up frequencies, information, chemicals. You know, information, it comes in a lot of different forms. It's not just information like paper and words. You know, your skin has a lot of receptors in there. That's how we are connected through our hair and the nervous system under our skin to our environment. There's a reason why that is that way. And
I
when
like
you're putting,
to talk about with that, Will, with leaving your hair longer. It's actually a like an antenna, if you will. Correct?
I can tell the difference. Yeah, I have long hair, and I can tell. I remember when I had shorter hair, I didn't dream hardly at all. For a majority of my life, I had very short hair. There for about 10 years, I actually kept it really like under a half inch. It was like on the farm. It was we were dirty a lot, working out, a lot of manual labor, sweating and so forth, and just to keep clean, it was just a pain to keep. You know, long hair was just a pain. And I can say the difference of my intuition and observations with nature from short hair to long hair is black and white different,
Yes.
as well as being in tune to other people. The ability to communicate definitely for me has been a difference with long hair versus short hair. I mean, communicate as in like here with you in a conversation, like right here, back and forth. Because it's a connection with our central nervous system.
Amazing. And we're always cutting our hair, you know, even women too, you know.
That's the women lib thing, right?
Yeah, right. We chop our hair.
And the whole concept of women can do everything men can do but better. You know, I mean, there's a reason why our body types are different, boys and girls.
Yes.
Hi, Ethan.
Hi, Ethan.
I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
That's right.
Yeah, I want to grow my hair out. I'm detoxing it right now. It's, oh gosh.
Well, our hair acts as a lot of different things. You can pull a hair out and sample a hair, and you can tell the different stages of hormonal things that you've been going on, metals. You know, the hair is a great way to see what kind of, you know, what is going on. It's an avenue of seeing into the body.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But that, what you were talking about before, Will, there's a well-documented story about Native Americans who were hired, I believe, in the, might have been the Navy, to track for them. And they gave them a military haircut, and they couldn't track any longer.
Yeah,
And then
they lost it.
Yeah, they hired new guys, and they finally said, wait a minute, don't cut these guys' hair. Let's just see what happens. And sure enough, that's what exactly what you think would happen. They were able to track and had their intuition intact. So
right.
that's documented.
Yep.
And yogis believe that too with the long hair. So
I can tell you. Oh, what was that? I'm sorry.
No, I said, so Cheryl and I, we're going to grow our hair out now. That's it. So I get all of my intuition back.
You got to detox your hair first. Like Lisa mentioned the Morocco method thing, and that's what I'm doing. And it's, well, you know, you confront your vanity with it. So it takes some time.
Well, on the farm, I was showing goats. I had a goat dairy, and I could tell the difference in the natural instincts of my show goats versus the other goats that I didn't shave. Because the show goats, you shave them, literally just shave their hair down to like really small, is all uniform. And those goats were like stupider. Like they lost their natural ability. They were not as good at mothers. Um, they they were just like slow in their comprehension of things. Where these are the other goats that they were my milk goats or my meat goats. They had a different attitude. They were more naturally aggressive, naturally curious. The ones that got shaved were not the same. You could definitely tell the difference. So that's a goat.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Oh, you're making me think about poor Buddy now, my doggie. I cut his hair all the time. Poor Buddy.
Well, there comes a point you can't let your hair, like we have a poodle here. There's no way you can leave the hair grow this long. It'll be all matted up. There's no way I'm combing that thing.
I know. They're not too happy when you try to comb it out. It's bad, so you do have to keep them cut. But
right.
Interesting thoughts, though. Well, at this point, maybe we want to get on to a little bit more of the food, Cheryl, because we had a lot of ideas about food and what's going on in, let's say, maybe the organic industry, because, Will, you have a lot of information about what's being done to the organic industry, and it is an industry, and it's such a shame what's happening. Maybe you could kind of give us a heads up on what we should be aware of when buying organics.
Well, you got to, first of all, a little bit of clarification. If you live in the city, you don't garden, you got to go to the store to buy your stuff. There's a scale. You have you got to eat. So you got to do the best you can. I mean, this year, our raised beds in our garden are horrible. We've had like literally a handful of days, and today was one of them, was no rain. Sun was out, and we have extreme overgrowth of mold everywhere and wet. And so we went with raised beds this year, and even the raised beds are so wet because they're not drying out very well. So we're getting fungal overgrowths. You got to do the best you can, and that is if you got a choice between conventional or organic, then hopefully you choose organic. It's at least less toxic.
Right.
I mean, we've been traveling a lot lately, and this whole summer we got a big trip coming out to see Cheryl, and the price of food fluctuates a lot. I mean, we were up in Minnesota and Wisconsin, and some of the stores, the prices were comparable to conventional, and then we were in other stores that the organics were 3 and 4 times the price of conventional food.
Wow. What do you think with that, Will? Are they raising the prices just because they can, or is there really a reason for asking so much more?
It has to be, in my mind, it has to be just plain extortion, because it has the organic on it, and they can charge 3 and 4 times because there's no other logic for it.
Yes.
Because you can literally go blocks down the road to another store, another health food store, and their prices are almost the same as conventional, and they got the same product coming from the same supplier. So then you have to look at the integrity of the place where you're buying it from, because it doesn't cost that much more to raise organic food. It doesn't cost that much more to ship organic food. So it has to be then the end seller of that food is just raising the prices so high.
Right.
I mean, I've hauled organic and I've hauled conventional food from California to New York to Florida to Texas to Washington, all over this country, and it's the same methods. They put organic strawberries in your trailer next to conventional strawberries, and they gas the whole entire trailer.
See that?
They put organic apples and conventional apples together, and they gas. They're all gas. Bananas, same thing. So it's not in that. It's got to be from the wholesaler to the retailer where the markups are happening.
Right.
I mean, I know that you got more extortion fees through the United States Department of Agriculture to get your USDA organic certification. I know you have to pay for that certification. I chose not to when I was farming. I chose to sell my stuff as sustainably and ethically raised. And I didn't care. It's organically raised. Absolutely it is. I can't put the organic USDA label on it, but I can say it's organically raised because all it really means is no chemicals. That's really it. It doesn't mean it's more nutritionally dense. It just means it's less toxic.
Right.
So it's still a better choice than conventional if you can at all afford it. And if you're getting scans and following our protocols, if you are eating genetically modified and toxic stuff, we'll be able to see it, and the protocol is going to reverse it.
Right.
So you can relax a lot more. I mean, we go out to eat when we're on the road. Most of the time we carry a cooler and our own little kitchen supplies, and we make our own stuff most of the time. So we're being exposed to stuff, GMO stuff, pesticides, and things like that.
Sure.
And I can say that, me personally, that I'm fussy when I can be. But when I can't, when it's either food or no food, then I'm going to get a zucchini out of the store, or I'm going to eat. I'm really fussy about my meat, though, and my animal products. I don't like eating antibiotic eggs. I pretty much will go without. I'd rather than I can just get some cheese or something instead, or have an apple or some piece of fruit or something. You know, so this whole idea of, oh, I only buy organic. Well, you can have 70% GMOs and labeled organic. That's by law. You can do that. You were reading labels there on those products, and they got antifreeze in them, and they got heavy metals and carcinogens in them. But yet, that's the stuff you bought there in the health food store. You
Yes.
bought it from old buddy Joe Mercola there, who's hawking crap.
Yes.
And yet he's touting everything, you know, about this organic and natural and all this other stuff.
Sure.
So, you know, you just have to do the best you can. I mean, I'm not going to dog you. I may tease you, but you know, like we're going out. We went to Minnesota, and the mosquitoes were really bad. It was raining up there. The mosquitoes were really bad. So, but I didn't buy any DEET. I refused to. I'd rather just dress in flannel, long sleeves, and stay in a tent or something if I have to. I'm not going to put that on my body. I did buy geranium oil. I did buy conventionally raised cherries because I didn't have any other fruit at that time that was ripe in the store, and I wanted to eat some fruit.
Right. Choices.
Yeah, so you gotta have to make your choices.
Yeah.
I do the best I can when I can. If not, then it's either choice of food, no food, then I guess we're gonna have to have some of this crap. But I'm not eating, Doritos. I'm like eating whole real foods.
Sure. But like you said, I feel the same way, that I can relax a bit because I know that I'm going to take a scan in a few weeks or a few, whatever, intervals, months maybe, and I know that the products really help your body get back into balance and release any toxins, which is, you can feel the difference. You really can.
I can. And there's a lot of people that do. All you got to do is start asking around. I mean, there's enough people now that hopefully you guys will do a show with just talking of experience of other people rather than tell Ann or me on here. You can, start getting other people on here, because I know that a few of them have expressed interest that they want to share about this.
Yes.
About what we do working with us, because I've got people that have been with me for 12, 15 years. This is their lifestyle.
That's right.
Just like you two. I mean, this is a choice, a lifestyle, and their lives have definitely been positively impacted.
Absolutely.
And
Well,
that's huge.
I went for acupuncture today, and when I did that, they asked on the form who's my doctor, and I put Dr. Wil Spencer. So there you go. It is the truth.
Yeah.
So if they have any questions, they'll call you.
That's fine. We have school districts call us. We have nurses call us. I actually work with quite a few chiropractors. I just had a call the other day from I don't know what kind of medical doctor he was. We work with lots of nurses all over the place. A lot of nurses, a lot of in-home healthcare people, and I'm glad this is what we're doing is starting to grow. People are starting to gravitate towards this because there's enough people now. I mean, we work with people in every state, most of Canada, Mexico. I can't even count how many countries in Europe. I mean, from England to Russia.
That's awesome.
Africa, I just got another email from somebody in Africa. Heard a show. I don't know who, if it was one of these or an older one. But hey, I've got a problem with this, and someone said listen to this video, and now I'm contacting you.
See that?
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, Cheryl and I, that's what we're hoping, that, hearing what you have to say, Will, hearing what Delanne has to say, what all of us have to say about what we're experiencing with you, your protocol and your dietary suggestions through the scans and all of that, more people are going to know about it. It's once people open their minds and hearts to it, it flows. But a lot of people are a little stubborn too. There's so much information out there that, especially in the natural world, that I think people at this point, they don't know what to believe anymore. And I'm sure Cheryl has dealt with that too. People coming to you, Cheryl, probably the same thing. Oh, but I'm juicing now, and I'm doing this new, product from Dr. Mercola, or this new, and it's challenging to get people to understand that things like, let's say, nuts are not healthy for them. Some people it blows their mind. They just can't even conceive of that. So, speaking of foods, you might want to talk about your dietary suggestions there and why you say what you say.
Well, there's reasons for all the rules that we follow. I mean, no grains, nuts, seeds, or tubers. You can tubers periodically, but potatoes, but no peanuts, no almonds, or no grains or anything made from them. They're just not food for humans. They're pathogen and parasite food, but they're not human food. They're not mammal food. I mean, agriculture knows enough now that you don't feed grain to a cow, for instance, because it elevates the E. coli infections and the salmonella and clostridium infections. It throws their system out of balance. It distorts so many things. Same with a horse. Same with a pig. But yet we as a human don't realize we live in an animal body. That's the thing. That's where academia, and I don't know if the word is cognizant dissonance, maybe. I call it the shuck and jive. This was always a question since 7th and 8th grade biology is, on the farm, I cut open I was like 10, 12 years old, and we had to do some cesareans on some cattle out in the field. We couldn't get them up to the barn, and they were, Dad called it hip locked. The calf was part way out, and it didn't work. Or they were breech, and we couldn't get them turned around, so Dad would do a cesarean with his pocket knife out in the field. And a cow would bloat and pull the top pocket knife out, and you knew which rib. You just punctured and let the gas out because there was improper fermentation going on in one of the guts, one of the stomachs, and the cow lived. Okay, so now I'm sitting in biology class, and he's talking about the separation of the animals are different than people. But yet, in reality, we're not. So the education in the public education system starts very young, the deception, the separation between animals and people. But yet, this body we live in is an animal body in my book.
Sure.
That's part of the fraud. The medical industry and the natural health industry wants to keep everything separated. The industrial system wants to keep everything compartmentalized and separated, but there isn't any. There's too much science coming out today that says that it's the exact same microorganisms that are in our bodies, that are in the animals' bodies, and that are in the soil. The same. There is no difference for the most part. There's some that are some minor differences, but for the most part, Clostridium is in me, Clostridium is in the cow, Clostridium is in the soil, in the plants. Okay, Candida's in me, Candida's in the cow, Candida's in the dog, Candida's in the soil, in the plants.
Right.
Okay, there is no difference. This new biology that's coming out is really, really, I am so happy that this tension is building of the old industrial science that wants to compartmentalize everything and this new science that says, no, that's not correct. There is similarities between me, the fox in the woods, the chickens behind the barn, the soil outside. There is similarities there.
Absolutely. Well, isn't that true also, Will, because you dealt with animals a lot, that when I heard that old-time doctors, veterinarians, I should say, used to analyze animals based on maybe what mineral they might be missing and help the animal get better by supplementing with certain minerals. And it's like there's not much said in the mainstream academia about minerals, from what I can see. It's all vitamins, vitamins, vitamins. Nothing about minerals.
Well, vitamins they can manufacture.
Yeah.
Minerals they can't really, because they manufactured ones all have a toxic load, like your zinc oxide there.
Right.
Okay, they can react them in vats in laboratories and manufacturing facilities with bacteria, and then get them, they call them chelated, but it's basically either metal or rock dust that are reacting with bacteria to get them into that chelated form. It doesn't mean that our body is going to accept it as food, though. It's less toxic than a pure metal or rock dust, but it's still not in a form that's good. So, but they can manufacture vitamins like vitamin D, which is really a pesticide, and they got millions and millions of people convinced that they need to take all this this vitamin D.
Yes.
Well, it's a pesticide.
Wow.
We used to haul vitamin D in these 300-gallon totes in our semis, and we had to have a hazmat license to handle them, and we used to take them, and that's your vitamin D milk. It's a preservative, pesticide.
Jeez.
So, and now they're putting it in pill form. So the shuck and jive is everywhere. And there's a tension building in this country. I went to Minnesota and I was a witness. I gave testimony at a trial. And I could see the shock in the judge and the people in the courtroom. When I was talking, they were trying to discredit what I was saying because I was not an AMA licensed medical professional. I said, I'm a PMA licensed medical professional. I said, there's a big difference. You've got two realities here in this country, and there's over 30,000 of us, and it's growing every day. I said, so you got to understand that this trying to degrade and make me look bad because I'm not licensed by the AMA, I said, most of the people that are coming over to the PMA for their licensing right now, are leaving the AMA. And the testimony that I was giving like that, and the people's faces were like, and they came up to me and talked to me a little bit afterwards, they were like, wow, we didn't even have any clue that there was this whole other reality building here. And in academia is the same way. You've got science now. These are long-term, age, tenured scientists that are starting to adapt to this more natural way of thinking and leaving the industrial thinking go away because it's not pertinent. It's not valid. Just like Bruce Lipton's been saying that 2011 is the first time I heard him say it, was we're a skin-covered petri dish.
Mm-hmm.
We have everything that's in our environment is potentially in us. Everything. Doesn't matter if it's polio, encephalitis, E. coli, Clostridium, all these funguses. I'm seeing with the scans. That's why I heard that year, back in 2011, and I'm like, oh, I'm aligned with this. I've been trying to poke holes in what he's saying, and I can't find anything.
Right. No, those scans are so accurate. It's mind-blowing, right, Cheryl? I mean, really. We were just talking about that the other day, how it's like I don't know how they're that accurate. They just are. It's incredible. Really is.
That's a technology nowadays. The computer can talk directly to your body. Okay, Bill Gates has a technology that he's trying to get commercialized where you wear this band around your wrist. This is galvanic skin response. It's the same stuff that we're using with the scanning technology. He's putting it around your wrist, and then this bracelet talks to your phone through Bluetooth, through the airwaves, and your phone then syncs with your computer to then monitor your body.
Right.
And they're doing it on the cloud now. So that means that this information is held into the cloud on the internet, and then whoever wants access to it, Microsoft or whoever has access to it. I'm not a fan of that. I'm definitely not aligned with that. That kind of really pushing the privacy thing because it's none of nobody's business, really.
Right.
But to some extent, if you're going to use that kind of technology, even the technology we use, we do everything we possibly can to keep everything we're secure, but there's nothing, if you really want to think about it, at all secure. If you got a phone that's not wired into the ground, if you got a computer on the internet, everything is monitored. We do what we can. But if you want to address what's really going on in your body, I don't think there's anything better than what we got.
Yeah, nor do I. I really, seriously, it's ahead of its time, I think.
We were going to talk about food more, and do you want to go that way?
Yeah, we certainly could. And laughing over there like, what happened? But this is conversational and it's live, folks, so we do the best.
Practice. We don't practice for this.
No practice in here. It's just us hanging out. So
I tried to come up with an outline.
We always do. We try, but we try to stay within it. What were some of your questions, Cheryl, with the food? Let's go back to that.
It's something I know that Will's talked about before, but they're beyond just the price of like buying the best food possible, preferably organic. There's a price to not eating nourishing food that happens for people in their own health. Even in doctor's visits and stuff. I know it's something you've talked about before with you and your family and your experiments you did with the kids.
The price of it, just a simple price. That was the biggest thing that was monumental for me. Because what do you hear? I can't. That's too much money. You can't eat that. We have to buy our stuff at Walmart because it's just too expensive to buy organic. Well, in my book, nothing could be further from the truth. That's part of the shuck and jive and the illusion. I mean, there was a 6-month period of time. I was married. We had 4 kids, and there were 6 of us. And for 4 months, all we did was eat cheap old Walmart food for 4 months. That's it. No supplements, nothing. Well, 4 months, the massive amounts of volumes I noticed first thing right off was the size of the meals were like doubled and tripled, just the volume of food. Because the kids were starving to death.
Oh,
they were eating all kinds of food, but they were like just hungry all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, then the snot noses started. Then upper respiratory infections started. This is in a 4-month time frame now. So now we're having to deal with snot noses, upper respiratory issues, infections in the ears, bouts of constipation. This stuff we weren't having. So that's 4 months. So we added all that up. Okay. Then for 2 months, we put in the minerals, the probiotics, the enzymes, and then I bought very, very high quality, nutritionally dense food. The volume of food dropped. I mean, half, and then 2/3 less. The quantity just dropped of the food. And they were more satisfied. The snot noses went away. All the health challenges pretty much all went away in 2 months. Okay, so then we added up Walmart food and then having to handle symptoms. And then we had better quality foods, more of your organic, sustainable, biodynamic food, and supplements. And it was so much cheaper for those 2 months. I mean, a month for month than it was to buy the cheap food and then have to manage illness and symptoms. So anybody that hasn't done that and is complaining about eating this way and it's expensive, they need to wake up to the reality, because I've done my own math. And I'm not alone. There's enough people now. I mean, most clients we were just somewheres in the last couple of weeks, and the one lady said, "I can't believe how little I eat."
Right.
I mean, literally, this is a 16-ounce container. Okay, it's a little bit bigger than an ice cream bowl if you were to dump it into an ice cream bowl, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, I eat less than this in one day. The entire 24-hour period.
Right.
Because I'm doing office stuff mostly, I'm not doing much of physical work anymore. When I'm doing physical work, I do eat a little bit more, but generally, this is not much. This is this much food, right? You can see this, 16 ounces. Yeah, it's like in my hands, okay? And this lady commented that the sheer volume of food for her and her family was over half. Just the quantity disappeared.
Now,
and
you're talking about just eating organics, or are you talking about eating the way you suggest to eat?
Yeah, following the dietary parameters that we use and doing the best they can to get, homegrown or organic or biodynamic type food. Mm-hmm. And they're saving money all around by eating this way, by following the scam protocols. They're saving money because this lady is very, very, budgets everything out very, 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 very well. So it's easy for her to say, okay, so right now the volume of food got cut in half. Okay, so you take cheap food and you take better quality food. Well, the volume goes in half, but the price of this food isn't twice as much. Right. Do you see what I'm saying? The nutritionally dense food is actually cheaper because you're eating way less.
Yes.
So just right off, she was like amazed at she's actually working with us and saving money. Yep. And that for most people, that's the case in the long run. If they're not having major health crises you have to deal with, most of the time that's the case. For those that actually do the tracking, actually do the math and keep track of things. Because you can eat a Walmart carrot, and then you can eat one that come out of my garden, and you're going to notice a difference the way you feel.
Absolutely.
Here at the house last night, okay, Dylan's youngest daughter and family live with us. They moved in about 6 months ago. And she made a comment last night. We had some organic hot dogs, cheese. There were cheese onion hot dogs, and we made the cloud bread or the oopsie recipe, right? So we had a bun. Okay, and she couldn't finish. She ate one and she was stuffed.
Yes. Because that's like all protein too. That's
it's all high nutritionally dense food, and it's available to you right now.
That's right.
I remember going to the fair as a kid and having those chili cheese dogs.
Yes.
And eating 5 of them in one night.
Yes.
And a milkshake.
Amazing.
Yeah, I was stuffed, but I wasn't like content. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a difference in having a content feeling and having just a plain stuffed feeling.
Absolutely. Yeah. Cheryl, that oopsie recipe, is that on the kitchen? Is that in a file?
Yeah, I'm pretty positive it's actually there in the files. People go to look for it. Yeah.
Good. I thought so. There's loads of recipes on there, folks. So if you're looking for a way to follow the dietary suggestions that Wil is suggesting, just go to Body Electrician Community Kitchen on Facebook. Join our group. It's open to the public, and you can get lots of recipes. And people are always posting new ones, and we try to put them into a file so everybody can have them at their disposal when they need them.
And for those that don't do Facebook, there's going to be a tab on the website later this year. Those files will be available on the website for those that don't do Facebook but still do internet.
Cool. And you're talking about your website, correct?
Yes, bodyelectrician.com. There's going to be a tab, a recipe tab on there eventually.
Good. Maybe we'll have to do a book one of these days, right, Cheryl? A Body Electrician cookbook, kitchen cookbook, community kitchen cookbook. That's what
I like that.
And all the proceeds will go to the people you were telling us about. Well, the people who have such a hard time in life and they really want to use your services, but they really can't afford it. Honestly.
Oh, that's awesome that you just said that, because we just got the paperwork. We created a foundation, Body Electrician Foundation.
Yes.
For that reason, several years ago, and we're now able to take donations. There'll be a page on the website just for that, because we've got people that's their mission. They help us to help people.
Isn't that nice? Yep.
It's not nice. It is beyond nice. This is people see the benefit, and then they help us, so then we can help other people that want to take advantage of what we're doing but don't have the financial resources.
Absolutely.
So soon, later this year, there's going to be a tab on the website. We were able to receive donations right now. We've got several people over the last couple of years that have helped immensely, and only to help other people. It's not for my benefit. It's not for anything infrastructure business-wise. This is only there. There's a fund there. Only if people want to use our services, and if there's money there, then it goes to them.
That's awesome.
For our services and products that we have.
All
so
right.
That's part of this. So I'm really glad you said that. So that's going to be something that's coming out later this year. That's going to be on the website as well.
Great. So Cheryl, we got a job to do. We got to come up with a community kitchen cookbook so it can help the fund.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. Always good to have something put into a hard print you can actually hold and see in front of you that isn't dependent on the internet.
Yes. I was just talking with a friend about that the other day, the energy that comes from a book as opposed to...
We want more books.
Yeah, because I listen to Audible sometimes, and that was Bob. Hi, Bob. Bob helps us with some information there. In fact, Bob will be on the Dude Show, which is coming up. I hope he's going to be on that show. And right? Because we have to have the other side. We had the chick show, so now we need the Dude Show. It's coming up. Coming to a channel near you.
Well, I have received a lot of emails thanking for this. And I don't do this. This is Nancy and Cheryl's project here. So thank you to Nancy and Cheryl. Just let that out publicly as like this is not my deal. This is Nancy and Cheryl's labor of love to share information with people.
Well,
so,
we love you so much. We even showed up in bikini tops tonight, Will, because we're supporting the beach show, and I have to be careful how to say that, the beach show. In honor of, I even brought flip-flops over here. We got flip-flops.
I did not know this. I did not get that memo.
Yeah, you're not in a bikini over there, dude. What's up?
Yeah, well, I don't do bikinis.
Oh gosh, just playing with you there, Will.
I was actually out back getting the camper ready because we're leaving next week. Because you should really talk about things that are coming up, right? So
yes.
July 31st, I'm one of the speakers at the Tesla Technology Conference in Albuquerque, New Mexico. July 31st. That goes on that whole entire weekend from Thursday to Sunday at the Embassy Suites in Albuquerque. And then we're going to be, I believe, we can talk about this later, but the next weekend we'll be in Tempe, Arizona, Friday and Saturday. Friday, I actually was asked to present to a graduating class of naturopaths. In Tempe, Arizona on Friday night, and Saturday afternoon where it's open to the public. So if you want that information, I'll have to get you the flyers. So you can email me or Cheryl or Nancy. And then when are we going to be at your place, Cheryl, in San Diego area?
From August 13th through August 16th, I have one set date on the Friday at the Ocean Beach People's Store. I'm also putting together possibly 2 or 3 more events in addition to those, and I will be posting those on the community kitchen page as I have the information.
And the 18th, we were asked to come to Pasadena, north of Pasadena. The place is called the Zorthian Ranch.
Cool.
There's a whole community there that requested us to come there. So that's the 18th of August.
Nice. Where is that, Will?
It's just north of Pasadena, Zorthian, Z-O-R, Zorthian Ranch. I will get you those emails so then we can send them out. So just to let you know that's the 18th.
Terrific. All right. Well, you're a busy boy, and you and Delanne are constantly going somewhere. So the next show, we were thinking of when you go to see Cheryl, right, Cheryl?
Yes.
Perhaps we'll do it there. We might do one in between. We haven't decided on that yet. That might be with Lisa, yes?
Yes, she's interested.
Yes. So if we pull that together, we're going to put another show together with Lisa, who is she is the original HandScan Hub, and she is packed with information.
She's our first, yeah, Lisa's our first hand scan hub. She is.
We're not worthy, Lisa. We're not worthy.
She is awesome. No, I have a question. We did a show when we were out with you, Nancy,
Yes.
and I don't know where that link is. Is it not out there yet, or are you not done editing or something?
That one that we did in my house, yes?
Yes.
That's because I have to get my daughter Chloe to help me with that, but yes, you're right, because we had some interesting information there.
We did. That's why I was wondering, because I got people, we had talked about it, and then there's nothing to provide, so that would be something that we can...
Sorry about that, boss. I will get on that, and I got to rope Chloe in and help her. She is the computer extraordinaire there, so she'll help me out. We'll get that going.
Well, I will beg.
No begging needed. We'll get that going. On that note, what do you think, Cheryl? Do we have anything else we want to add? Do we want to give any hellos to anybody on the community kitchen over there who've been... Simone is always putting some great recipes and all her food up there. She's great. And she's the one with the toes, yes?
Yes, she's the toes.
I love that.
Well, we just met her night before last on our travels and did a scan for her, and she'd be one to have on here. She's like, her life is, she's just amazed at how she feels working with us in just a very short time.
Yes, excellent. Well, we have a few ladies, too. We have Lisa is interested. This is a different Lisa. She's interested in coming on, too. So.
Yeah, and actually, I have to go if we're pretty much done, because that Lisa, I'm a few minutes late for our Site K session. So.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, so I apologize, Lisa. Sorry.
We're keeping him, Lisa. I'm sorry. We're letting you go, Will. And we just want to thank everybody for watching today for another episode of Body Electrician Live. Please join us again. And I guess we can all say goodnight, guys.
You can.
Thank guys.
Good night,
Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.